Meanwhile, back in Tokyo, the Japanese government is distancing itself from a quote from Shinzo Abe that appeared in Thursday's Washington Post. The chief cabinet secretary, Yoshihide Suga, said that on Friday, the prime minister had been misquoted. The Post said that Abe described the Chinese as having a deeply ingrained need to spar with Japan and other Asian neighbors over territory. The Chinese responded that they were strongly dissatisfied with the Japanese leader's comments that distort facts, attack and defame China, and stir up confrontations between the two countries. For more on Prime Minister Abe's visit, I'm joined now by Ming Wang. He's a professor of government and politics at George Mason University. He's the author of The Political Economy of East Asia, Striving for Wealth and Power. Why don't we start there with this kind of, keep seeing conflicts, just even now, this Washington Post article, well, we didn't mean to say that, and China kind of upset about it. There's some real antagonism on both sides, and now U.S. President Barack Obama's kind of in the middle of it, trying to be a referee. Not a delicate thing to do, is it?
Yeah, it's a difficult position for the United States. And of course, the U.S. supports Japan, and Japan is an important ally. And the U.S.-Japan alliance is considered the center of U.S. strategic policy in Asia. At the same time, and the U.S. does not want to really provoke China unnecessarily. U.S. does not have a direct conflict, territorial disputes with China. Its friends do. And U.S. has to support them to some extent, but it has to balance.
When does it get to a point, though, Secretary of State Clinton back in 2010 openly expressed support for the Philippines and Vietnam and some of these territorial disputes. Pretty much the U.S. has tried to stay on the sidelines. Do you think that they're going to be drawn into this in terms of, or can they stay a helpful mediator, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a difficult position, and clearly the Japanese government is trying very hard to drag the U.S. in more. And, you know, Prime Minister Abe, was hoping for some stronger statement from the U.S. government. But even before he came, we knew that that was probably not going to happen. U.S. is also concerned about China's rising power, so it shares some common interests with these countries.
There is a common interest, though, between these three countries, China, the United States, and Japan, and that is the concerns about the DPRK. Is that an area, there were the six-party talks. Do you think that's an area where they can come together and perhaps make some strides, or is that naive thinking in a sense?
I think there is some room for cooperation. And we noticed that the Chinese government position on North Korea's third nuclear test was a lot stronger. And we also know that the U.S. President Obama and Prime Minister Abe and focus on North Korea issue and at a similar position. And U.S. is working with China as well. So I do see there is some room for cooperation.
Let me ask you about this. If I'm in Beijing, I'm a leader in China, how should I be viewing these talks between Prime Minister Abe and the U.S. President?
Yeah, I imagine they are very concerned about this, and they clearly don't want U.S. to support Japan even more. And I think that's part of the reason that they were highly critical of Prime Minister Abe's remarks quoted in the Washington Post, and because that was too strong for them. That's why they reacted. I think that's also sort of verbal check on the concerned parties now to go too far. It's a diplomatic strategy.
So at this point, what do you think they're taking away from these meetings? Obviously, Abe wanted the president to say one thing. He didn't get what he wanted. Is China going to be happier? Or?
I think they probably will worry about the worst, so the worst did not happen. And this would be viewed as a successful visit between Japan and the U.S., but China probably would be happy they didn't go as far as they feared.
Ming Wang, thank you so much for coming in tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you.